At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So I had a patient a couple weeks ago who was having some epigastric pain, which is below the breastbone, above the belly button. And I asked him how much he drank. And he said, oh, it's not pancreatitis. It's just heartburn. I don't drink a lot. And I go, how much you drink? Now I go, that's good. That's good. How much you drink? He said, no more than 2 drinks a day. I go, you drink 2 drinks every day? Yeah, but no more. That's the guidelines. The guidelines say I can't drink more than 2 drinks a day. And these guidelines have been kind of a thorn in my side because people look at guidelines as an allowance, as, okay, I could have up to 2 drinks a day. So you're having 14 drinks a week? I don't know how healthy that is for a guy. For a man, it's no more than 2 drinks a day. For a woman, they recommend no more than 1 drink a day. And I've had concerns with that because we've seen studies where even 1 drink is enough to make you tipsy and could be affecting your driving. You know, in medicine, if you have a drink, you can't work. In fact, one of my friends got out of call because they called him and he didn't know he was on call. He goes, but I already had a beer or 2. So he got out of call. I was like, oh, dang, I wish I would have thought of that. That's pretty brilliant. I should have said I had alcohol. They wouldn't have to go in. As opposed to, oh, darn, really? They changed the schedule? I'll be right there. So he got out of it. But even 1 glass of alcohol, you can't be a surgeon and have a glass of alcohol. You can't be a pilot and have a glass of alcohol. Yet these guidelines recommending no more than 1 drink a day for women, 2 drinks a day for men, you know, it's kind of been a little bit of a pain in the butt. As it, you know, when we talk to patients, we're like, but still, alcohol has risks. Now, Vivek Murthy, the previous Surgeon General, did reinforce that there is no safe level of alcohol consumption. But the current guidelines say limit 1 drink a day for women, 2 for men, spread consumption over 3 days or more. If you're going to drink 14 units per week, they recommend to spread it out over at least 3 days. But they also say don't binge drink. Now, what is binge drinking? It's consuming 4 or more drinks for women and 5 or more for men on a single occasion. Okay, that's considered binge drinking. So some people might be like, oh, I'm good. I just had 3. So what we're hearing now is that the Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. may drop the current guidance they have right now on alcohol consumption. Now, this report comes from Newsweek. It has not been independently confirmed, and I'm getting this from Newsweek. It states that the Department of Health and Human Services will revise the current guidance. I agree. I think it has to be revised. Because right now people are taking this literally. And Newsweek is saying it sounds like they're going to generalize it more, saying, look, alcohol could be at risk. You know, but when I'm hearing people report back, I'm not drinking more than 2 drinks. I'm like, I don't want you drinking 2 drinks a day. 14 drinks a week can be linked to cancer, heart disease, pancreatitis, liver disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. Now, the public wants guidance from the Health and Human Services Secretary because, 1, people like numbers. That's why this blood alcohol content, although it's hard for you to tell what your blood alcohol content is, but people like it because of laws and criminality. They could say, but where was my number? Here's my number. Patients love it. Where's my cholesterol? Where's my what's my number? So people want a number. But I'm looking at this as they're saying, oh, I could have 2 drinks a day. Nobody is recommending for your health 2 drinks a day. Now, then the question comes up with Dr. Daliah, what about the heart? When do we recommend wine for your heart? Well, it's different strokes for different folks. I remember asking a cardiologist this years ago. I go, patients are saying, their doctor puts them on red wine. What do we recommend? And it's mixed because for some people, a glass of red wine a day really works for them. For others, they may get cancer from it. So we don't have guidelines, and I do not believe RFK Jr. and the Health and Human Services Department is going to now say, okay, everybody have wine to prevent heart disease, because cardiologists are mixed. Now, what's in wine? The resveratrol. But the pill form of resveratrol still has not kind of become very popular because, again, people don't know what they're getting. They don't know who's doing what supplements. The concentration of the resveratrol to try to equal a glass of red wine, is that healthy if it's artificially made? So there's been still some debate on what we need to do as it pertains to resveratrol to get that in, because we think that's what's allowing there to be those health benefits. But we're not in any place or condition right now, health-wise, to start recommending or having guidelines that kind of mislead people by saying, okay, well, I'm good because I can at least have a drink a day. There was a friend of mine. We were talking about going out for happy hour. She's like, good, I haven't had my 1 drink a day yet. I'm like, well, I hope not. It's only noon. You usually have a drink before noon? I had a patient ask me that. They go, if we could have a drink a day, isn't it better to drink in the morning? Because then your body metabolizes it and it won't then affect your blood pressure at night. And I'm like, I don't think we've studied that. When is the best time to drink your 1 alcoholic beverage? Because we don't recommend that you drink 1 alcoholic beverage. Not to mention what you guys mix in it. Tonic has sugar. Soda has sugar. Soda pop that you're mixing in. Your grenadine, your tequila sunrise. I don't know how many calories that sucker has. So if HHS, I know you're going to have you're going to see a lot of the news outlets ridicule RFK Jr. for wanting to change the guidance. But as a doctor, this is a long time coming. I think the guidance has had to get changed because the way the rules stand, people are misinterpreting it. They're misinterpreting it as, maybe I can have more than I was going to have originally. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So thank you for many of you reaching out, asking about my family in Israel. So far, so good. It's always frightening over there, but there's a real tolerance, and they got a lot of backbone in Israel because they're used to these threats all the time. I remember talking to my cousins years ago and hearing hearing the sirens, to get into the bomb shelter, and my aunt or my cousin's mom at the time was like, sorry, we got to head down to the shelter. I'll call you back in 10, 15 minutes. I go, of course. Okay. Yeah. And they were calm and relaxed about it, back and forth in the shelter. They had lived, my grandparents who fled Germany and Austria during the Holocaust, they fled to Israel knowing that there was going to be constant threats. And so it's just something our family had always lived with. But the one thing that we are not ready for is a nuclear threat. And so Iran and their nuclear capabilities and their, continual threats of wiping Israel off the face of the earth and the threats to America got neutralized in the not as completely, but definitely got lessened over the last few days with Israel's precise attacks. Iran, rather than trying to precisely attack Israel, decides to go after civilians. And now it has escalated. Iran's Ayatollah al-Khamenei has threatened an attack on the U.S. if they say Donald Trump authorizes strikes on their nuclear bunkers. America apparently has the bunker buster that could reach the nuclear facility, the main nuclear facility that is buried deep underground under a mountain. America, as being the best military in the world, has the ability to bunker bust that sucker. And Iran is threatening Donald Trump, which, by the way, wasn't Iran behind some assassination attempts already? So, their threats. This isn't a unique one-off. And Trump says that Iran wants to negotiate. He actually says he was talking about Harvard today because they're putting up new flagpoles to put up a much more robust American flag on the White House lawn, both on the east and west side. And so he was talking about how Harvard wants to negotiate even more than Iran does. But he does say Iran wants to negotiate. He said, I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. That's what he said today on the front lawn. But the Ayatollah said Iran would never surrender. Well, of course, that's what he's going to say. It was very interesting, though, that Israel did not take him out, the leader. Now, I think he's 86 years old. Maybe they felt he really didn't have any control of the regime anymore. But this is very chilling to see what is transpiring, because what Israel was able to do was significant, was huge. And it was something that even internal Iranians who do not like the regime wanted, because Iran helped Israel do this. Iranians helped Israel get in and do this operation. The regime is not a popular one. On the other end, though, you have many other countries who are secretly going, whew, thank God that was kind of taken care of, so we don't have to do it. But on the flip side, they're, anti-Israel. So it's frustrating because we don't know what's going to come next. Anti-Semitism has been at an all-time high post-Holocaust. This is a time that's not very, very safe for Jews. Trump being attacked like he has been, and there being threats and assassination attempts on him. We still don't know what happened with Butler, Pennsylvania, why somebody working alone. Did he really work alone? And how did he learn and get the weapons? And we just don't hear much about it. Hopefully Kash Patel is going to get more details, but we are learning. America learns from Israel. Not because we need to learn that because we need an education, but Israel provides a lot of intelligence. And Israel also has a different scenario than America. Okay, America, after Vietnam, there's a lot of isolationists. You have individuals saying we don't want to ever draft again, which I agree with. I don't want boots on the ground. I don't want us drafting, etc. Israel, on the other end, everybody has military duties. So everybody, with the exception of those who get religious waivers, you'll have a position in the U.S. in the Israeli IDF, Israeli Defense Forces. So you already have individuals that are trained, that are ready to go. America does too, but where it's not that have to necessarily instill a draft. They may call the reservists, so people who have finished with their 3 years to come back and help, which they already have since October 2023. But with Israel, it's, look, we are always on constant threat. So our job is to mitigate these threats, minimize them, neutralize them, and prevent them from hurting us. So you have a lot more support. And so you have liberals and conservatives in Israel. You have multiple factions in Israel. But they're very united when it comes to protecting the country. protecting Israel being safe, especially since Israel is, I think, the size of Rhode Island and Iran is the size of Alaska. I mean, Israel is a very, very, very small country. They don't have a lot of land. And they are trying to protect the Catholic, Christian, Jewish, Muslim history, artifacts, sacred lands, as well as people who have been able to find religious freedom there. They protect one of the largest LGBTQAI plus communities who are unable to be LGBTQAI plus in Gaza or other countries that don't tolerate that. And so you have a lot more support within Israel to do what needs to be done to protect. There was a lot of, obviously, criticism of the government when Hamas was able to successfully attack. I mean, it could have been worse, but still 1,200 people died. Multiple rapes, beheadings, murders, abductions, hostages taken. And so people after that said, look, you got to do what you got to do. If you get word that there's going to be an attack, a preemptive attack, then you do what needs to be done. Look at the 1973 Yom Kippur War, where enemies decided to attack Israel on their holiest day when people are fasting. I mean, when Israel gets wind that stuff is going to happen, it's going to happen to them, they're going to have to be preemptive. So how much should the U.S. get involved? Now, most polls have showed that the majority of Americans do not want Iran having nuclear capabilities. The majority of Americans do not trust Iran. However, the majority of Americans do not necessarily want America to fight this battle. So Israel doing all the dirty work is exactly what Americans want. So Americans don't have to. Now, people will say, oh, but Iran is so far away. That's not going to affect us. Oh, yes, it will. A nuclear launch out of Iran will affect you. By the way, kudos to Ron DeSantis for helping get some of these Americans out. So there were hundreds of Americans on Israel birthright trips that were there during the initial bombardment from Iranian missiles. And so they have been evacuated now because the airport is closed. They've been evacuated on a cruise ship bound for Cyprus. And the Israeli Navy escorted the ship. There were 1,500 people on board. It was about a 10-hour trip. And then Florida Governor Ron DeSantis chartered 4 jets to pick up the Americans and fly them to Tampa where they could return home. Very, very cool. 2,800 people are currently there on birthright trips. They're trips that young individuals could take so they could see their homeland and they could see the religious artifacts. And the vast majority are young Americans. A nonprofit, Birthright Israel, funds that. And so, many of the students that were there were trapped. So very, very cool that DeSantis is chartering jets, and very cool that the Navy was able to, by cruise ship, get the students out of there safely. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So, do you Tylenol or do you ibuprofen something? And when do you do which is which? When should you Tylenol an issue? And when should you Motrin or Aleve an issue? I get that question all the time. And I don't use either too much. Sorry. For my issues, I have a different regimen, like for a headache. But this is a great question. So your Tylenol or acetaminophen, great pain reliever, great fever reducer. But if you have liver issues, that could be a problem. And so if you have had fatty liver disease or alcoholic hepatitis or non-alcoholic hepatitis, viral hepatitis, your Tylenol use might be limited. And so when I tell patients, check with your doctor how much Tylenol you can have, I just don't know their liver. And having liver disease, Tylenol or acetaminophen, the counterpart in Europe is paracetamol. There could be some risks. However, many people say, well, wait a second. If Tylenol is bad and I have liver issues, then I should just take Motrin or Aleve, naproxen or ibuprofen. Those could also affect the liver too. However, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories are fever reducers. They're also pain relievers, but they decrease inflammation. And so there's some extra benefits that prompt people to use those medications. Many people say the Tylenol doesn't help the pain, but the Motrin does. I've noticed that postoperatively. When they give me a narcotic with Tylenol versus the ibuprofen is the one that gets credit for handling the pain. The problem is non-steroidal anti-inflammatories can also affect your liver, could affect your kidneys, could cause ulcers, could cause congestive heart failure, so could increase your bleeding. So what I recommend is the lowest dose you need to handle your symptoms. So people will say, well, I have a kid, so I will give them Tylenol or Motrin for their fever. Okay, and you can alternate. Tylenol's dosing is every 4 to 6 hours. Motrin's ibuprofen is, usually every 8 hours, but lower doses could be every 4 to 6 hours. So some parents will alternate. Okay, well, then what I'll do is I'll give 2 hours one, 2 hours another. Be careful with that, though. When you have a child who's sick and vomiting, the anti-inflammatory, again, like Motrin, ibuprofen, naproxen, could affect their stomach lining, could make them more nauseated. If you have high blood pressure, these anti-inflammatories could raise your blood pressure. So if you have a headache and you don't know why you have a headache, if your headache is because your blood pressure spiked, you could make things worse by taking anti-inflammatories. If you have kidney disease, kidney issues, that could be a concern. Going back to pediatrics and fevers, if the child has a high fever, I do recommend treating it with Tylenol or Motrin and figuring out what is causing the fever. Because if it's flu, they need to get on flu medication. If it's strep, they need to get on an antibiotic. But if it's a mild, low-grade fever that doesn't look like it's jumping quickly, because a very high, speedily jump in a fever could cause a febrile seizure. But if it's low-grade, I don't usually recommend taking anything for that because the body's trying to heat up to fight the infection. Your fever is your body's response to trying to protect itself. So I'll see parents, they're like, I just can't get the fever down for 5 days. Every time that dose wears off, that fever spikes right back up. I go, because the body's trying to save your child. The fever is spiking back up because it wants to have a fever to help protect the child. So if this has been going on 5 days, please, for the love of God, take your child in and let them figure out, is it a UTI? Is it strep? Is it an ear infection? We go to these medications pretty frequently, and they're over the counter, but doesn't necessarily mean they're always safe. NSAIDs work by inhibiting the cyclooxygenase enzymes, your COX-1 and COX-2, throughout the body. So they inhibit the production of biological mediators that can cause inflammation and can cause blood clotting. Acetaminophen can inhibit COX enzymes, but they modulate the endocannabinoid system in the central nervous system to exert its effects. This is according to Dr. Wu, who is a physician at Advent Health in Littleton, Colorado. So the mechanisms are a little different, but acetaminophen will not necessarily increase or decrease inflammation, and they will not decrease blood viscosity as anti-inflammatories could. NSAIDs are non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, meaning they're not steroids. They're not prednisone, solumedrol. They are non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. It doesn't mean that you won't have the same side effects as you could with steroids. You still can. Elevated blood pressure, stomach lining upset, cardiac issues. So, however, with steroids, usually you have other issues. You could have weight gain. You could have mood disorders. In fact, they found that ibuprofen seems to help people's moods, whereas steroids could worsen people's moods. So that's pretty fascinating. So when I get a headache, I'll take some Motrin sometimes. Sometimes I'll take some Tylenol. But if those don't cut it, I go to Excedrin migraine. Now, Excedrin migraine has some caffeine in it. And I believe aspirin as well. So for me, I sometimes need to do that for my headaches. That's not something I'm recommending for you all. Again, you have to ensure what you're taking is safe. You have to ensure that you're not going to have any side effects or allergies to it, and you don't want to raise your blood pressure. But, when I have really bad migraines or headaches, Excedrin migraine worked better than even the triptans and other migraine medicine, but it's different strokes for different folks. So when to use what? If it's mild and you have no health issues, I would try Tylenol first. Again, assuming your doctor is okay with all of that. because there's less side effects, fewer side effects. If the Tylenol doesn't work, then, or you think Tylenol doesn't work on you, or you have inflammation, arthritic joints, the anti-inflammatories might do better. But I'm not advising you to take one or the other because I'm not allowed to. And again, there's side effects with them. So for fevers, you could use either, but my go-to is Tylenol. We usually go to Tylenol first because, again, kidney issues, liver issues, GI issues with the anti-inflammatories, heart issues. I try to do, as little as possible. The other thing I also like are the topical, like Voltaren gel, icy hot. Sometimes your topical capsaicin products, those are nice. And ice. Don't frostbite your skin. But when I have knee pain or knee issues, I don't like to go to the pills. I use ice, and it helps almost immediately. I just don't do well with cool compresses or warm compresses with the headache. My headache will come back unless I pharmaceutically address it. But, if you're having, some back pain, when I have back pain, I take a hot shower. It relaxes the muscle. I do some stretches, chiropractor, osteopathic manipulation, exercising, walking. When I'm achy, I walk. And that seems to really help as well. So there's a lot of physical modalities you could do. But, Tylenol versus Motrin or acetaminophen versus ibuprofen, they are different medications. So I hope this helps. 1-877-DOC-Daliah. Don't go away.
You have unread texts from Golf Buds. Would you like me to read them?
Yes.
Okay. Johnny says, what are the nicotine pouches you had on the course? Walker says, 8 milligram on nicotine pouches. Billy says, I love the mint one.
I like that one.
Walker says, me too. By the way, you both stink at golf. LOLOL.
Come on. Carry on nicotine pouches. Shop now at onnicotine.com/group text. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. I watched a lot of hockey this year. I've been watching a lot of hockey since the Golden Knights started in Las Vegas and made it themselves to the Stanley Cup. Although the last 2 years was dominated by the Florida Panthers. So big congratulations. The Edmonton Oilers, I mean, they held their own, but boy, it was just, it was obvious that Florida Panthers were going to win early on in the series and then in this game. So congratulations, well done, and I'm looking forward to next season. Sadly, Ann Burnell from the Food Network has died at the age of 55. She is the iconic chef, TV personality, has the short white hair. We've seen her on Beat Bobby Flay and fantastic personality. She's died at the age of 55. She was found unresponsive at her home on June 17th. A cause of death was not disclosed. Apparently, she made her debut back in 2005, according to USA Today on the Food Network. She was in Iron Chef America. She served as a sous chef to Iron Chef Mario Batali. She hosted the show Secrets of a Restaurant Chef and Worst Cooks in America. And very entertaining and very, very skilled. They say she was inspired by both her mother and fellow TV chef personality Julia Child. Not that Julia Child was her mother, but her mom inspired her. She enrolled in the Culinary Institute of America, graduated with a degree in English and communication from Canisius College in Buffalo, New York. She also attended the Italian Culinary Institute for Foreigners, during which she completed various apprenticeships and studied Italian cuisine, returned back to the U.S. in 98, made her mark on the Manhattan school food scene with stints at Felidia Ristorante and Savoy in Soho. Her series, Secrets of a Restaurant Chef, ran for 9 seasons, from 2008 to 2012. In fact, I think she got Emmy nominated. I don't know what happened. I know many people are asking, and right now we don't have any information, but all we know is she did pass at the age of 55. May she rest in peace. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. Since COVID, we have been seeing a lot of temper tantrums on airplanes. Here's another one. Apparently, this was on a Southwest Airlines flight at LaGuardia, I believe the plane originating from LaGuardia, where, and I apologize now, where a woman just starts to have a fit. She's drunk. She starts calling the passenger she sits next to fat. Apparently, she was mad that she had to sit next to a quote-unquote fat woman, and she had to get kicked off the flight. This was a New York to Kansas City flight early Monday morning. I believe she started to throw her fit before the plane got into the air. She was apparently intoxicated, shouted a bunch of obscenities. Several people stepped in, including 2 Southwest employees and another passenger. They tried to de-escalate it, and then they had to remove her. Now, I see this a lot, and I wonder if I could make some suggestions to the airline industry. They work very hard. The flight attendants work very hard. Pilots keep doing what you're doing and landing us safely and taking off safely. But the way airlines are and the way travel has really changed. And even me, that could take a lot. I could really take a lot. It takes so much to get me mad. I've noticed myself get very frustrated with, one, the price. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm flying to the Midwest. I don't even want to tell you the cost of my round trip. Coach, Southwest. It's ridiculously expensive. So one, you're spending a lot of money. 2, it's not like you're getting food. And so if there's delays, you need to pack your food. But you can't necessarily pack your food or your water. You can't bring water. You have to buy that stuff at the airport. It's a scam. An airport is selling $4 to $10 bottles of water. So you feel like you're getting screwed from the beginning. I love TSA. I'm very grateful for TSA. But I can't tell you how many times I have been barked at and yelled at by people behind the service counter. I was going on Iceland Air, beautiful airline, but I was watching the people at the counter yell at the passengers. Now, maybe in Europe they yell, but you're already starting to up the heat. Then the plane, you are crammed in like a sardine. If you want to spend an extra grand, you could upgrade, or $2,000 to get first class. But if not, you are crammed in with people. In fact, when you buy a ticket now, you need to double check the fine lines, because that might not necessarily guarantee you the seat you want. They'll put you in a random middle seat unless you pay more. You want to take a suitcase, you pay more. So by the time you realize all this, what was it? Was I flying? I just had a flight to Boston, and I had to pay $45 each way to carry a suit. That was an extra $90 added to my flight, so I could take one suitcase, because we had to go to a wedding, and I had to pack my husband's tux and my dress because it was a black tie event. So we had to take a suitcase. We couldn't just do carry-on. So, when you go through all that, you're like, okay, come on. So you're already tense. Then there's delays and there's lines. And then it's uncomfortable when you're sitting. I could smell the exhaust. Sometimes the air, it's hot. Sometimes it's muggy. And then on top of that, you have individuals that could smell and be coughing on you. I mean, when you're spending almost $1,000 for your flight in coach, you'd kind of like a little bit more comfort. So I recommend, if you can, when you do pick your flight, try to pick your seat. You will be less annoyed if you are sitting by the window or by an aisle. I picked the window seat, right, because I think you get a little bit more room. You don't have people banging into you and breathing on you, and there's fewer people that are, necessarily around you. I like the window seat, and I like to look out the window. However, if I have to get up to pee and the people in my row don't want to let me, that's a problem. So I always make friends with whoever's in my row. I always try to be really, really nice so that I can already establish that. If you sit on the aisle, at least you could get up when you have to, which I think for a safety reason is important. Although I know that gentleman survived the plane crash on Air India because he was by the window. But it is nice to be right there on the aisle in case you do have to evacuate. You get more room. You can at least put your leg into the aisle if you need to stretch a little bit. But if you're in a middle seat, I think it's miserable. I can't stand the middle seats. Now, if I'm with my kids, it's okay. If I'm with friends, I'm fine. But if it's with strangers, depending on who the stranger is. But, we have people who are not on their medications, or they're not getting diagnosed. They're self-treating with drugs and alcohol. And then something sets them off. And I really respect flight attendants, but I can't tell you how many flights of flight attendants were just outright rude to me. And I didn't even say anything. I just asked a question. I mean, I really kissed their butt. When I walk out to the plane, I'm like, thank you. Because they check you out. They always greet everybody, one, for customer service, but two, to identify if you're going to be in trouble or if you're drunk. They survey you. So I let them survey me. I'd be really, really nice. But I can't tell you how many times they've been rude. And so that might set somebody off who has a low threshold or has mental illness. So my recommendation is, make them more comfortable, cheaper flights, cheaper food, feed people on the plane, and don't be mean. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.